Jonathan Friedland of The Guardian is host of the podcast Unholy.
The claim of their critics, and I think they're echoed by the White House and others, is that this will essentially gut the power of the judiciary, the courts, to exercise any kind of restraint on the government of the day. And there are no other checks and balances in Israel. It's just a quirk of its own system. There's no written constitution. There's no second chamber. There's not even an unwritten constitution that everyone sort of adheres to. And therefore it means you're looking at a government that has almost untrammeled power. And therefore people are making comparisons that this will turn Israel into kind of Erdogan's Turkey or Viktor Orban's Hungary and make it an illiberal democracy, if you like. In other words, there'll still be elections, but there won't be those checks and balances that people rely on, and that's why those huge crowds are out on the streets.
Opposition leader Yair Lapid says he wants the Supreme Court to annul the new law. Prime Minister Netanyahu says it's needed to allow the government to deliver on its promises. The White House says the law's passage is unfortunate. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
And here's the main news again. Former US President Donald Trump has been accused of ordering staff at his Mar-a-Lago resort to delete security camera footage. Kyiv says it's retaken territory in the southeast of Ukraine, but Moscow says the counter-offensive has been repelled so far. And Typhoon Doksuri is bringing gales and heavy rain to China's southeast after leaving a trail of destruction in the Philippines and Taiwan. And that's the latest from Feature Story News. Giles Gibson reports.
Don't forget you can listen online too at kchw.org.
Good morning, it's a KCHW morning show. It is just Chuck here today, just myself. Scott had some things he had to take care of back at home, so just be me joining you today. Later on today we have a special guest, Cary Boyce, the general manager of Spokane Public Radio, here to talk about some stuff he's got going on, and the Friday market today, where we'll have Jones and Jones musicians they're going to be singing in the park today. They're going to be doing a variety of classic rock songs, and they are going to be joined by our friends at Spokane Public Radio. So let's go ahead and get things kicked off today with the weather. Looks like today is going to be 89 degrees, not too terrible out there tonight, or today, with a low of 59 degrees overnight. Tomorrow's going to be sunny with a high of 94, a low of 61 overnight. Moving on to Sunday, it's going to be dropping back down to about 89 degrees with mostly sunny skies. And get this, a 2% chance of rain. Ooh, we'll take what we can get at this point. Moving on to Monday, it's going to be 89 degrees for the high with a low of 52 and sunny skies. Tuesday, jumping back up just a hair to 93 degrees for that high with sunny skies and 54 degrees for your low. Then on Wednesday, jumping back up, not quite to that triple digits with that high of 97 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Then on Thursday, we get that 2% chance of rain back again. Doesn't look like we have much chance of rain any more than that in the near future. Anyway, moving on. These are things you forgot you hated about summer. Now that summer's here and we made it through the last week, this week hasn't been quite so bad. Looks like things are heating back up again for next week. Did you know that there are 150 species of mosquitoes in North America? Woo! Probably all of those are in my backyard right now. You hated the long lines everywhere, especially in the heat, standing out in those long lines. Woo! No football. Ooh, that's right. Football is starting back up again, I believe this, in August. Starting with some preseason games and getting on to the season this fall. Oh, and of course, we all love the summer grade gas prices. Woo! Yeah, especially in Washington State. What are we, I believe we lost our title, though, of the most expensive gas in the U.S. We're now tied once again with, I believe it was California. Things you forgot you hated about summer. Every temperature extreme is imaginable. Yes, from the highs to the lows. Oh, yeah. And mowing the lawn after the first 4 weeks. Mowing the lawn after the first 4 weeks. I'm not exactly sure what they mean by that. I think we have to mow them all the time from the spring, don't we? Anyway, moving on. If you win the lottery, just the other night we had a huge Powerball win. I believe someone won almost $1 billion. So these are advice from the experts on what to do if you win the lottery. You need to guard that ticket well, to the point of secrecy from your family, friends, and coworkers. Shh, don't tell anybody. You got to take photos and videos of yourself with the winning ticket, of course. Then lock it away in a safe. Lock the ticket or your photos away in the safe. Don't rush to claim your prize. Take a deep breath. Give yourself time to process that win. And depending on the lottery and state regulations, you may have a specific period of time to claim your prize, ranging from several days to several months. You should use this time carefully to plan your next steps. I don't know if I'd be able to wait. I'd probably run out there the next day. Actually, I'd probably drive straight to Olympia. Before you claim your prize, you should probably seek the advice, actually good advice, seek the advice of a lawyer, get yourself a financial planner and a tax advisor. Then get a new phone number. Yes, put it on silent, except don't give this number to anybody except maybe your spouse and some very close family. Tell no one the new number. Put your old phone on silent and only check it when you need to. Okay. And this is the amount of online activity that goes on every 60 seconds. Google has 3.5 million searches per minute. Ooh, there are 100 new registered domain names every minute. 20,000 times per minute, a new track is downloaded from iTunes. Walmart.com has 20,000 transactions per minute. There are 250 emails sent per minute. Gosh, lately that's just my inbox alone. Instagram, 300,000 photos are uploaded every minute. $120,000 are in sales every minute on Amazon. On Twitter, there are, or X now I believe, it's no longer Twitter, there are 350,000 tweets per minute. I'm guessing that number's dropped recently. On Facebook, there are 2.5 million likes per minute. And YouTube has 90 hours of uploads per minute. I'm going to give you a quick joke here before I go on to some local birthdays. Wife begins to get a little worried because her husband hasn't arrived home on time from his regular Saturday afternoon golf game. I'm sure everyone around here is familiar with that scenario. As the hours pass, she becomes more and more concerned until about 8 p.m. when the husband finally pulls into the driveway. "What happened?" says the wife. "You should have been home hours ago." "Harry had a heart attack on the third hole," said the husband. "Oh, that's terrible," she said. "I know," the husband said. "All day long, it was hit the ball, drag Harry, hit the ball, drag Harry." Anyway, moving on to our local calendar. Today is July 28th. We have, for birthdays, we have Terry Rancourt, David Poto, Maddie Rooker for birthdays, and then Walt and Chris Carpenter and Evan and Amanda Shaylock have anniversaries today. Happy birthday and anniversary, everybody. If you all see them, if you know them, point around. Gosh, I can't even speak today. I was going to say, if you know them, you love them. If you see them out in public, point and laugh and tell them we were talking about them on the radio. But seriously, don't laugh at them. Just wish them a happy birthday and anniversary. Moving on to our event calendar. Today going on at the golf course from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. is free pickleball up at the golf course. That Chula Chamber of Commerce meeting is going on right now, so you're probably a little late for that one. Then moving on also at the farmers market is from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And in that market today, as I said earlier, there is a special performance by Jones and Jones. There's going to be a scavenger hunt. That Jones and Jones is a two-person music group that perform a mix of classic rock, classic pop, folk, and blues. They feature such artists as the Beatles, James Taylor, Moody Blues, Elton John, Simon and Garfunkel, Bob Dylan, the Byrds, Donovan, and a whole bunch more. They'll be at the market today, joined by our special friends at Spokane Public Radio. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Cary Boyce from Spokane Public Radio, the general manager, will be here after the break to join us. So stay tuned for that. Moving on to tomorrow, let me get back to my calendar here. We have Oh, goodness, I lost my place. Sorry, everybody. It's the Chihuahua Kids Festival at the Chihuahua City Park. There will be a 34-foot slide, a tropical bouncy house, spike ball. You can picture yourself around the world. There's going to be balloon animals, a 12-foot Nerf dartboard, face painting and cornhole, and a climbing course. All these activities are free. There's also going to be some food vendors. And there's going to be a praise concert from 5:30 to 7 p.m. and a message from our mayor, Greg McCunn. You might want to check that out. And then just as a special freebie for you guys, Andy's Sandwich and Sports is having their grand opening this weekend. There are neighbors back behind us in the alley here. I've met them quite a few times. They're good folks. They've really done a beautiful job in that restaurant. Can't wait to see what they're doing in there. Also, from now until August 6th at the Mississauga Casino, they are accepting school supply donations. Those school supply donations will go for the kids. Those donations will help support students of the Rural Resources Tribal Program. So go on by and check that out and get some school supplies. Oh, so moving on. I apologize. Scott, having Scott here to drive the show. Trying to do this myself today, and I'm trying to figure out where we're going here. Let's see. Let's get back where we are here. I apologize if I'm just rambling on the radio, because that's exactly what I'm doing. We have some celebrity birthdays today. Today is cartoonist Jim Davis. You remember him from Garfield. He is 78 years old. Sally Struthers, just behind him from All in the Family, is 76 years young. CBS journalist Scott Pelley is 66 years old. Lori Loughlin from Full House is 59. UFC president Dana White is 54. Elizabeth Berkley from Showgirls and Saved by the Bell is 51. Oh, Showgirls, remember that one? Ooh. That was kind of a bum. John David Washington from Tenet and the Black Klansman is 39. And John Michael Hill from Elementary is 38 years old today. Happy birthday, everybody. And moving on next here. It happened today. So this happened today in 1866. Beatrix Potter was born in England in 1894. In a letter to a critically ill child, she told the story of 4 little rabbits, Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. The story, since published in 17 languages, was inspired by her own pet rabbit, Benjamin H. Bouncer. Nice. Then in 1945, an Army B-25 bomber accidentally crashed into the 79th floor of the Empire State Building, killing 14 people and injuring 26. Then in 1996, Dr. Huer of Lübeck, Germany, not only performed a successful kidney transplant operation, but also provided his own kidney for the transplant. That's dedication. Then in 1998, in Chandler, Arizona, 4 witnesses lifted a 2,400-pound car high enough for a 13-year-old boy trapped under it to crawl clear. Abraham Villa suffered severe cuts and bruises when the auto hit his bicycle and dragged him several feet. Then in 2002, an Indian dairy firm began marketing instant holy cow dung. Wow! To help urban Hindus perform their rituals properly. Hindus sanctify places of worship by sprinkling them with a mixture of cow dung and water before conducting rituals. The packaged cow dung is sold in cities where cattle are scarce. I do the same thing with coffee grounds in the morning as my worship to my morning coffee. Then in 2006, Mel Gibson launched an anti-Semitic tirade. We all remember this, as he was arrested in Malibu, California for drunk driving. He later apologized and then was sentenced to probation and alcohol treatment. In 2009, the Senate Judiciary Committee approved Sonia Sotomayor to be the first Hispanic justice on the Supreme Court. Then in 2016, the earliest evidence of cancer was found in a 1.7-year-old toe fossil from Swartkrans Cave, South Africa. There we go. In 2008, the longest blood moon eclipse of the 21st century lasted 1 hour and 43 minutes. Moving on to our special events for today, it is International Tiger Day, Chicken Wing, Lasagna Day, and Lipstick Day. Then our special events for tomorrow, it is Father-in-Law Day, International Day of Friendship, Cheesecake Day, Whistleblower Appreciation Day, Paperback Book Day, Share a Hug Day, and World Day Against World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. I believe that's people trafficking, not trafficking in persons. Anyway, World Snorkeling Day. Okay. Then our events for Sunday, if I can get to it here. Oh, it cut me off. I am sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm trying my best here. The number of the day, 1.4 billion. Those are the gallons of paint we use every year to coat everything in the United States. Wow. Well, since we have a special guest today, we're going to go ahead and move on to our news attack before the break. Today, we're going to go ahead and do this a little early. This is where the first part is a news story. The second part is a really bad joke. Sometimes they're better than others. A survey found that 72% of millionaires don't consider themselves wealthy. Yeah, meanwhile, I'm over here debating whether the 5-second rule applies to my drop sandwich. It does. It does. In Germany, a fruit vendor caught a thief trying to steal some bananas and proceeded to beat him with the fruit until police arrived. They charged the man with theft, but he said he planned to sue the fruit vendor for assault and bananery. Womp, womp, womp. Yeah, I'm sorry, everybody. I don't have those sound effects with me today. A flight from Paris to Washington, D.C. was canceled after the pilot was arrested for being intoxicated. We talked about this one yesterday. When the air traffic controller asked for his altitude, the pilot replied with his blood alcohol level. I believe if I remember the story right from yesterday, the pilot had a blood alcohol level more than 6 times over the legal limit. I didn't even know you could survive that. A flight from Paris to Washington, D.C. was canceled after the pilot was arrested for being intoxicated. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Flight 1707 to Washington, D.C. Once again, we get to cruising altitude. I will be flying just a few feet higher than you. Research indicates that just practicing over and over again won't necessarily make you any better at chess. You know, growing up, I always tried to tell my parents the same thing about algebra. Didn't sink in. A study found that women enjoy much better mental health if they make as much money as their husbands. Well, that's because they can go to sleep knowing the rent money won't be blown as a Kickstarter invention to make your own beef jerky. What's wrong with making your own beef jerky? Studies show that artificial sweeteners are linked in the long term to weight gain. But hey, so is eating. Okay. A research study found that your friends influence your weight. That's fair. For example, if you're trying to lower your appetite, go to dinner with someone who chews with their mouth open. Okay. We're going to move on to news and nuggets. We usually follow these up with a sound effect, but once again, I don't have those sound effects with me, so I'm just going to read through them here. So the Mega Millions closes on $1 billion. I guess tonight's... Oh, you know, I said earlier about that Mega Millions. I believe I didn't really follow up too much on the story, and correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong. But I believe the supposed winner from the other night turned out to be a fraudulent claim. I'm not sure about that. Either way, that Mega Millions jackpot is back up to $910 million. This Mega Millions jackpot is the 5th largest in the game's history and the 8th largest United States lottery jackpot of all time. Wow. Answer us in the comments what you would do if you won $1 billion. Would you keep it for yourself? Would you buy everything you could? Or would you help your community? Maybe a mix. I don't know. A hand-painted video game debuts today. A unique hand-painted video game is available beginning today, this Friday. The Master's Pupil is a puzzle adventure game set inside the eye of an artist. This game was hand-painted over 7 years and offers players a unique and immersive experience as they journey into the eye of legendary artist Claude Monet. The game is set across the iris of Monet, and players help him complete his masterpieces by solving puzzles and wandering their way across the iris. This game is available on Steam and Nintendo Switch. And if you'll excuse me, I will be back after I finish playing this game. That actually sounds really lovely. This one I can't say I've participated in this. 4 in 10 pet owners have tasted their pet's food. A recent survey found that 4 in 10 people admit to tasting their pet's food. Whew. Talk about in the comments section, have you tasted your pet's food? And how did it taste? I know I've had my kids before, especially with the dog treats, take little nibbles and say, "Ooh, you should really try this." And no, sorry kids, not gonna do it. This next statement: flattery will get you a better bargain. Okay, this makes sense. If you're looking to get a bargain, then go in with a smile. Turns out flattery will get you a better bargain when you're dealing with people selling their own stuff. The logic is that when people sell their own stuff, they feel a sense of impending loss, so they'll inflate the value of their product. They call this the endowment effect, and flattery seems to break down their guard. The translation: if you're interested in buying a secondhand car, it would be a good idea to compliment something about the owner. That makes sense too, especially if it's, and I think we've all been there, where we have something, it's got some sentimental value to us, we're trying to sell it, and some guy's trying to give us a quarter for it, just make him feel better about it, and I guess make him feel like it's going to a good place. I've done that before. It actually works pretty well. Opposites don't really attract. The idea that opposites attract in relationships has been a popular belief for a very long time. However, scientific studies have proven that the evidence challenges this notion. The study from Stanford examines the concept of whether opposites attract in romantic relationships. The research suggests that there's little evidence to bring up to support the idea that the differences in personality, interest, education, politics, upbringing, religion, or any other traits really lead to a greater attraction. Similarities in personality, values, and attitudes are better predictors of a relationship's happiness and longevity. While there may be instances where opposites do attract, they're more the exception rather than the rule. No word on how astrology plays into this, which I'm not sure. According to astrology, my wife and I shouldn't be compatible at all, but we've been together for more than 20 years and going on happier than ever. This next statement: 57% of people have had deja vu. That number sounds a little low to me. 57%. I thought almost everybody did that. Deja vu, of course, is a phenomenon that occurs when your brain senses familiarity in a situation that is objectively new or unfamiliar. According to this survey, 57% of adults have experienced deja vu. Neurologically, it's thought to be caused by a split-second delay in transferring information from one part of the brain to another. Sometimes I have a lot more than a split-second delay, I think, from transferring information from one part of my brain to another, especially from my brain to my mouth. That seems to be a common information blockage point there. Others theorize it could be the brain recalling memories that have not been consciously processed. Okay. Fortunately, this psychological experience is common and generally not cause for concern. The next one: a man drowns running from deputies serving a warrant, but they weren't even looking for him. Wow. Kind of a sad story. In South Carolina, a man drowned after deputies said he ran from them as they were serving a warrant for someone else. Deputies went to a home to go serve the warrant Sunday afternoon for someone who failed to appear in court. Then when they got to the home, they say the man, who deputies were not even looking for, ran from the house and jumped into a nearby lake. Deputies jumped in to help rescue the man, but they weren't able to find him. He was later found by a dive team. Ooh, that was a sad story. An enormous bologna sandwich was unveiled at a Pennsylvania community fair. An enormous Lebanon bologna sandwich, touted as the world's largest, was recently revealed at a community fair in central Pennsylvania. The sandwich, made with, of course, Lebanon bologna, was a type of smoked and cured sausage. The 150-foot-long sandwich was created at the Lebanon Area Fair by a large crew of volunteers known as the Bologna Security. I believe I've seen them before at all kinds of events. Every foot-long bite was sponsored at $100 per foot. The money was then donated to a local charity. Gosh, I hope they had some people there around to eat that thing. Wow. Scientists resurrect extinct animal frozen for 46,000 years. This says that scientists have successfully revived tiny animals called nematodes that were in a state of suspended animation for 46,000 years. The microscopic animals were found in the permafrost or frozen soil that flanks a Siberian river. The researchers were able to revive the nematodes by thawing them out and providing them with food. Oh, here you go. Here's a 150-foot-long bologna sandwich. An online challenge ended with an 11-year-old arrested. An 11-year-old Florida girl, she's been arrested over a false kidnapping report. She told officers it was part of a YouTube challenge. Oh, kids, stay away from the YouTube challenges, please. Authorities from Volusia County said the girl texted 911 on Wednesday morning and claimed that a friend had been snatched by an armed man in a van. She also claimed that she was in pursuit in a Jeep. After police finally determined it was a hoax, the girl was taken into custody and hit with a felony false police report, as well as a misdemeanor charge that she misused 911. Wow. Yeah, again, kids, just leave the YouTube challenges alone. I guess that it goes for you adults listening too. Just stop. Unless they're cool ones, fun ones. Some bad driving can be relatively harmless, but other reckless behavior behind the wheel can cause serious, often fatal accidents. An estimated 46,000 people died in preventable car crashes on the roads in 2022. And according to this study, some states are home to more dangerous drivers than others. Forbes compared all 50 states and Washington, D.C. on factors ranging from the number of drunk drivers to how many drivers looked at their phone per mile to see where in the U.S. had the worst drivers. And these are the top 10 states with the worst drivers. After myself living in Texas, I can confirm the number one state with the worst driver is what I'm going to read last. Ha! Ha! Which I kind of already gave it away. It's Texas. It's Texas. Yeah, Texas, terrible drivers there. It doesn't matter where you are, you're not going fast enough for the person behind you. You can be going 70 miles an hour on a one-lane, narrow, skinny back road, and you're going to have somebody behind you flashing their lights and honking their horn. The number 2 state is Louisiana. Also been through Louisiana quite a bit, and after seeing the roads there, I don't blame people for being bad drivers. They're just avoiding the potholes. Number 3 is Kansas. Number 4, Oklahoma. Number 5 is Kentucky. Number 6 is New Mexico. There was one time in New Mexico, we were driving on this road that was going and going and going forever with these gentle mounds up and down and up and down about every 100 feet. And needless to say, there was no place to pull over, and there was some cleanup to do afterwards from the dogs and the children in the back seat. Probably didn't need to say that. Number 5 is where was I? Number 7 is Wyoming. Number 8, Arizona. Number 9 is our friend Mike Benson, Montana. No, actually, Mike's a pretty good driver. Number 10 is South Carolina. Wow, this DoorDash customer on our next one here got called out for only tipping 30%. TikToker Dr. Ethan Melillo was shocked to receive a shade-filled message from a DoorDash driver after they were dissatisfied with the amount of money he gave them as a tip, even though the amount was actually 30% of the order. This popular TikTok pharmacist posted about the awkward text he received from the DoorDash delivery driver, who apparently thought that because he lived in a nice house, he should have tipped them more. The total cost of the order before the tip was $15. Moving on to wacky but true before we stop for the break here. A man in Poland allegedly punched and kicked 2 store employees after stealing a small bag of chips. When police arrested the man, he told them his mother had predicted that he'd end up behind bars. Ooh, wow. Thanks, Mom, for the vote of confidence. Jeez. A flight from Paris to Washington, D.C. was canceled after the pilot was arrested before he could go drunk flying. We talked about this earlier. United Airlines flight UA331 was supposed to leave Charles de Gaulle International Airport. That was before security officials spotted the pilot with glassy eyes and staggering slightly before boarding. The man was subjected to 2 blood alcohol tests, which found a blood alcohol of 0.056 and 0.059. Regulations in France limits the pilot to a blood alcohol of 0.02. Wait, what? So they actually allow the pilots to have alcohol in their system in small amounts, I guess. But that 0.02 is compared to the legal limit of 0.05 for driving. In the United States, the limit is 0.04 for pilots and 0.08 for drivers. Wow, I prefer my pilot sober, thank you very much. For a flight departing France, the pilot was nearly 3 times over the legal limit. When questioned, the captain stated he'd only consumed 2 glasses of wine the night before. Right. Sure, we've all heard that one before, buddy. And a guy in Australia, in Queensland, was arrested after allegedly riding a lawnmower down the street for 4 times over the alcohol limit. Police say they saw the 51-year-old driver driving the wrong way just before 1 a.m. on Sunday. When he was pulled over, he told the officer he was driving over to his daughter's home. I think, being in Chihuahua, where we have a lot of people that use lawnmowers as transportations, it seems, I think I've actually seen more than once a lawnmower pulled over by the police. Also, here in Massachusetts, police said Thursday that a previous warning about a boa constrictor on the loose was the result of a miscommunication. The Lexington Police Department initially issued a warning on social media on Wednesday saying a loose boa constrictor had been spotted behind a CVS store. Police said on Thursday that the snake was actually a pet accompanied by its owner and was never actually on the loose. Okay. In Germany, a police officer pulled over a 25-year-old man on a routine traffic check. Detecting the aroma of alcohol, the cop asked the driver if he'd had anything to drink. The driver then replied, 20 beers at most. Just 20? Wow. The cop wasn't sure if the guy was kidding or not, so he gave him a breathalyzer test, and sure enough, the man was incredibly intoxicated. Well, that about does it for our first portion of the show. We're going to go ahead and head out to the break here. We'll get you the news going, and when we come back from our break, we will be here with Cary Boyce, the general manager of Spokane Public Radio. Thank you for listening. This is the KCHW Morning Show. We will be right back.
You're listening to 102.7 KCHW, Chihuahua.
The Public News Service Daily Newscast, July the 28th, 2023. I'm Mike Clifford. Over 500,000 folks in Georgia stand to lose their Medicaid coverage this year. That's due to a review prompted by the termination of pandemic continuous coverage protections. Shantia Hudson has more on how people can stay covered.
As a result of recent federal changes, Georgia has to reevaluate the eligibility of about 2.7 million Medicaid and Peach Care for Kids recipients. While many people may no longer meet the requirements for Medicaid, Marcus Robinson with United Healthcare says it's important for people to respond to requests for information, as not doing so could result in a loss of coverage.
Sometimes communication to Medicaid members can be challenging, change of addresses, and getting in contact with them. So someone may actually lose Medicaid coverage through redetermination and not know it for some time.
Residents who need to update their contact information can log into their Georgia Gateway account at gateway.ga.gov.
Residents in Georgia will also receive a letter that refers them to the federally facilitated marketplace for other healthcare options. Now from CNN, Special Counsel Jack Smith Thursday brought additional charges against former President Donald Trump in the case alleging mishandling of classified documents. Trump is already facing 37 criminal charges, and he was charged with one additional count of willful retention of national defense information and 2 additional obstruction counts. CNN notes that new charges were also filed against Trump's aide, Walt Nauta, and Mar-a-Lago maintenance worker Carlos de Oliveira, who was added to the case. Americans' confidence in major U.S. institutions, including higher education, has fallen in recent years, but Texas is trying to win it back.
About 66,000 fewer Texas students enrolled at colleges and universities in fall 2022 than before the COVID-19 pandemic. One theory is that an increase in high-paying jobs has left many Texans wondering if a college degree is worth the cost. Harrison Keller with the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board says the country's needs have changed and institutions need to adapt.
This is a time in American history when the design of most of these institutions doesn't align very well with the needs of our workforce and the needs of our population. So there's a disconnect there.
A recent Gallup poll shows Americans' confidence in higher education has dropped to 36%, sharply lower than 57% in 2015. I'm Roz Brown.
A report from the Texas Workforce Commission shows about 90% of new jobs will require education and training beyond high school. This is Public News Service. Virginia Commonwealth University cleaners have won their first union contract. Along with 12 additional paid days off, the school's janitorial staff will also receive a pay increase.
Under the contract, their pay will increase from $12 to $15 immediately, and over the next 2 years, they'll get 65-cent increases to bring their pay to just over $16 an hour. Angela Arrington, a lead cleaner at VCU, describes how this contract benefits workers.
I think we'll be able to keep more people on our team with the pay raises. We got 401. We're going to be having health insurance. We're going to have their vacation and some sick time, and that's going to help a lot as well.
She describes the negotiation not as arduous as some have been. The cleaning staff will also gain some protections in case of discipline and termination, as well as a grievance and arbitration process for settling disputes. The contract applies to workers at VCU's Monroe Park, MCV, Medical College, and undergraduate campuses. I'm Edwin J. Vieira.
And Sunday is the World Day Against Trafficking in Humans. In Iowa, state officials are calling on residents to do more to help.
Reports of trafficking are up, and so is the prevalence of the crime. Iowa's Secretary of State Paul Pate says Iowa isn't alone in seeing a dramatic increase in human trafficking cases. Pate's office started asking employers to get involved in identifying traffickers and their victims through the Iowa Business Against Trafficking program. But Pate adds no matter how vigilant officials are, it is hard to keep up with ever-changing online platforms.
With the internet and social media, they can move around with a lot of cloak and dagger, if you will, because it's very hard for law enforcement to track them all down. But it's also the way they recruit the people into trafficking. They prey on these people. They convince some of these folks that they're their best friend.
I'm Mark Moran.
Finally, Eric Tegenoff lets us know murals across the country are celebrating 50 years of the Endangered Species Act.
Congress passed the legislation in 1973 to protect wildlife from extinction. 5 decades on, Allie Fisher with Oregon Wild says the law continues to do that. She says the climate crisis gets a lot of attention, but the globe is also experiencing a biodiversity crisis.
This mural is really significant and is really showing our commitment to defending the Endangered Species Act and taking a stand against extinction.
The Endangered Species Act has helped save 99% of listed species, according to the Interior Department. The Endangered Species Coalition is hosting the National Mural Project for the Act. The mural in Oregon is in Portland's Pearl District and opens on Thursday.
Congress passed that legislation back in 1973 to protect wildlife from extinction. This is Mike Clifford. Thank you for wrapping up your week with Public News Service, member and listener supported. Hear us on interesting radio stations, your favorite podcast platform. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
You're listening to Northern Lights Public Radio on 102.7 KCHW, Chewelah, Valley, Deer Park.
It's 8:01.
Your KCHW morning show is made possible by donations from Chewelah Flooring.
Chewelah Flooring at 214 East Clay in the 3rd Street Mall offers a wide variety of products including carpet, ceramic and porcelain tile, vinyl and laminate planks, and vinyl sheet flooring. Chewelah Flooring carries products for both commercial businesses and residential homes, including brands like National Flooring, Dell Tile, Mannington, and Mohawk. They also offer blind repair. For more information, you can visit online at ChewelahFlooring.com, call 509-935-8021, or via email at ChewelahFlooring@gmail.com.
Your KCHW Morning Show, made possible by a donation from God-Fearing Brothers Auto Center. God-Fearing Brothers specializes in auto services, including repair, maintenance, and detailing. They also stock a full selection of tires, make glass repairs, offer towing, and have an auto sales lot on the corner of Highway 395 and Main Street at the light. For more information, you can visit the Auto Service Center at 806 East Main in Chewelah. Find them online at godfearingbrothers.com or by phone at 509-935-6414. KCHW-FM thanks God-Fearing Brothers for supporting public radio in Stevens County.
This is KCHW, Chewelah, 102.7 FM.
Good morning. Welcome back to the KCHW Morning Show. This is Chuck Ritchie here. Again, we're missing Scott this morning. He had some stuff to take care of back home. But we are joined here for our second half of the show with Cary Boyce. Cary, I'm sorry. You said don't call you doctor.
That's right.
Okay. I'm gonna say it for the intro. Dr. Cary Boyce. He's the general manager of Spokane Public Radio. Cary has a doctor of music degree in composition from Indiana University, a master of music from University of North Texas, a bachelor of music from Cal State Sacramento, and he is an Emmy Award-winning composer featured on a PBS documentary. And what was the name of that documentary, you said?
Harp Dreams. It's a documentary about the International Harp Competition that's held in Bloomington, Indiana I think it's every 4 years. Anyway, wow. PBS made a special about it, and I got to write the incidental music. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Right here in our studios, folks, an Emmy winner. Oh, yes. In his spare time, you're the president of the president and general manager of Spokane Public Radio. That's how many radio stations is that you manage?
Well, it's 3 content channels, and we have a dozen transmitters around the inland Northwest. So eastern Washington, North Idaho, we touch Enterprise, Oregon, and even Canada.
Okay. Well, if you ever need any advice, just feel free to reach out, and no, I'm just kidding.
No, you guys are always welcome. So
No, I will definitely be reaching out to you for advice in the future. But
any old time.
I appreciate that. So the Spokane Public Radio, you serve 1.25 million people.
That's right.
And is that mostly in the eastern Washington region?
And quite a few elk. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right?
Well, we serve a lot of rural areas
right.
as well. So, yeah, we cover about 20,000 square miles of the inland Northwest.
Wow. So much more than just Washington State.
Yes.
So how many different states do you cover?
Haven't really thought about it. Let's see. Washington, North Idaho. We touch Oregon, and we touch Alberta, Canada. I think it is, or British Columbia, one or the other.
Okay. Yeah, we just did some of our analytics reporting online, and the bulk of our online listeners are in Canada.
Huh.
Yeah, we have more Canadian listeners than American listeners. And actually, America was number 3 on our list. Number 2 was Germany.
Really?
Yeah, Germany.
Well, congrats.
And we just had a listener from Germany reach out, a musician, and sent us some of his music that we're going to get scheduled in our regular rotation.
Sometimes I've talked with Tom Mara. He was the GM of KEXP in Seattle. 80% of their audience is online.
Yeah.
How remarkable is that?
I know, right? Well, especially these days with radios. We've talked about this before. Radio's kind of been in the decline for a while now as far as people listening on the air.
I don't know. We've held pretty steady, especially public radio across the board. COVID hit everybody pretty hard, I think. But I think the numbers are coming back slowly. So that's encouraging.
And that is true of radio. The commercial radio stations are really the ones that are hit hardest. It's the smaller community radio stations that sort of serve a purpose within the community are the ones that are still kind of holding strong.
Public radio is lucky in that we have different kinds of revenue streams. So we've got membership, we've got underwriting or advertising that we sell, we have grants. So all of these taken together, it tends to be that if one gets weak, then something else steps up. So
right. And
it's quite the juggling act, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is. And I like to tell people here, even if you don't like the music that we play or, think I'm annoying or whatever, we have upstairs in our attic an emergency transmitter. We can run that off of a generator. So unless this actual studio is on fire, if there's, some kind of natural disaster, some kind of emergency happening, if cell phones, internet, all that is down, we can still have, officials come in and broadcast, evacuations instructions, that sort of thing, to the local community right here online. And I think that alone is worth, supporting your public radio stations for that.
We had something like that happen about 8 years ago. There was a huge windstorm just as we were moving the stations from one building to another. So no good deed goes left unpunished. Right. Is that how that goes? So anyway, this windstorm blew us right down. It was also the first day of our fund drive in the new building. And it was just catastrophic, literally. But my chief engineer, he dragged a generator out of his barn. We set it up every morning, and we had enough power to run one mixing board, one light bulb, and that was pretty much it. No heat, no coffee maker, nothing. And every morning it would start with the pull of a cord going brum bum bum. Yeah. And that's how we stayed on the air. It's quite remarkable.
Well, I mean, the no coffee, that alone is I mean,
well, we had coffee at the new building, so we bounced the signal off of the old building, and every time somebody would get too cold, they'd come over, warm up, have a cup of coffee, and then go back.
Yeah.
So I've never been so proud of a crew in my life.
I can imagine. Wow. Yeah.
They're pretty intrepid.
Yeah. Yeah. That's.
By the way, I should mention that some of these folks will be at the farmers market today.
Yes.
We talked about that earlier.
Yep.
And so if I don't mention it, then boy, will I be in trouble, because I think they're probably listening on their way over right now.
No, we were definitely going to get into that. So yeah, there's a musicians today, Jones and Jones.
Jones and Jones. There are a couple of volunteers, and my background, as you know, is as a musician, and I've played with them a couple of times, and they are just loads of fun. So you can expect really just anything from the Beatles to the Beach Boys to you name it, Eagles.
Right.
They're quite multifaceted.
Yeah, that's cool. And so I believe I can't remember the names of the ladies that will be here.
Stephanie may be here.
Okay.
This slight family emergency seems to be the morning for it, huh?
Right.
And Savannah Rothy is coming in.
Yep.
She's our marketing guru.
Yeah. I've spoken with both of them.
And possibly Alexandra Golohoff, who is our underwriting sales rep.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I'm excited. I'm definitely going to go down and check them out and meet them and check out the music and say hi to everybody.
And they posted these hysterical faces, drawn faces of some of our hosts. And so those were unveiled yesterday at yesterday's staff meeting. And so hilarity ensued.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can I get you to lean just a little closer to the
sure,
microphone? Yeah, perfect. Our levels are a little low there. Yeah, so that's fantastic. And you mentioned a little bit about your new radio station. It's not new anymore to you. When did you open it up? And tell us a little bit about that. When you're in your new location you're in right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, we moved about 8 years ago into
so
an old firehouse.
Yeah,
for 40 years or so, we were above 35 years, we were located above the Vintage Rabbit Antique Store. So we recently acquired our own building, and it's quite the moving experience to move 3 radio stations and try to keep something on the air all at the same time.
Yeah. And I've been there. You gave me the tour a couple months ago now.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing facility, just gorgeous. And you guys have done a bunch of restorations to some of the original doors, you were saying?
Well, the building itself is on the National Historic Register as well as the local one now. And so it's a vintage 1920 fire station.
Yeah.
That era. It's made of brick, luckily, so the fire didn't take it down. That happened years ago. In any case, it's tripled our production facilities and our capabilities. We've got a nice performance studio. This place, by the way, is way cool. And it looks like the recording studio that my group used in Indiana. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's like the Muscle Shoals of Chewelah.
Right. Well, you know, I'm kind of going for a vintage sort of classic analog radio look in here.
Well, you got it all going on.
Oh,
I feel very comfortable, and thank you again for the invite.
Oh no, thank you for coming. No, this is really great. I'm glad you're here. And I gotta say though, I've been to your station a couple times. Beautiful facility, but it always costs me a lot of money because you guys are right across from the art store. And every time I've been there, I end up blowing all my money on the art store across the street and leave happy but sad.
Spokane Art Supply, and I have to say they've been great neighbors. So.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, they share a little bit of parking with us and some materials and snowplows and the like. So, you know, it's been a win-win for us. So Spokane Art Supply, and they're just very generous neighbors, and we're happy to be there.
Yeah. Well, I'm also the president of the Chewelah Creative District, and I know there have been I've seen them at some of the events. Here between here and the Trails and Art Gallery here, I've seen them somewhere around here. I know I've seen them around, and I've spoken with them at a couple of various things in Spokane, and they're always they have a great presence, and they're always out there making themselves known and doing a lot of stuff for the community, it seems.
That North Monroe corridor is really coming along.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of vintage antique stores along that corridor, and my wife and I very often on a weekend will just start at one end and drive up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great place. So what? I'm at a loss for words.
Well, play some music.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Let's. You brought in some CDs of yours. Want to tell us a little bit about what we're about to hear?
Sure. It's a string quartet I wrote. Actually, it had kind of a weird development, but basically it started out as a film score with a French film director that I work with on occasion, named Evelyne Claveau. Anyway, it's kind of funkadelic string quartet.
Ooh,
so
nice.
It got me into trouble when I was in school at Indiana.
Got you into trouble?
One of my professors, after I presented this at a seminar, said, "Well, I just think this is prostitution of the highest order." And I said, well, at least it's the highest order.
Yeah, to that I would have said, thank you.
Yeah, I should use that in my press materials, huh?
Right, and so funkadelic classical music. There
you go.
Wow. I'm you had me at funk. I'm a big, I once used a urinal next to George Clinton. Not that anybody
and the
needs to know.
P-Funk All-Stars.
Yeah, I shared the elevator with about 6 of the band, and then right before the concert they were in a ski lodge in Girdwood, Alaska, and I was in the restroom, and I looked over there, and there's George Clinton standing next to me using the restroom, and he looked over and he said, "What's up?" And I was like, "Oh,
hey, yeah."
That was
engrave that on your arm, tattoo that, right?
Sorry, you probably didn't need to know that, but that was my brush with one of my.
A brush with greatness.
A brush with greatness,
yeah.
One of my all-time favorites and heroes. And I think, sorry to keep talking about this, but I've always viewed him as more of a composer than a singer because he has so many people in his band, so much to deal with, and he's just sort of this composer and organizer of all these crazy things going on, and makes it sound amazing and on point every time.
I saw him actually in Bloomington, Indiana many years ago, and it was an outdoor show, just fantastic. Then later I heard he played kind of at a small bar, a small venue, and I was just devastated I missed that.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, he's truly one of the greats.
I did, unfortunately, the show that I actually saw, I've seen him a couple times, but this first show I saw him at, he wasn't happy. there was sound issues, a lot of feedback, and he was getting frustrated with the local sound guys.
Been there, done that. Yeah.
We were in the cafeteria of a ski day lodge, and it wasn't set up for any kind of concerts, and it was a very small, like, concrete building with no acoustics, and they kept getting this feedback. His opening act was his granddaughter making her debut, and apparently he hadn't listened to her before, and she was a rapper. But she was doing very dirty lyrics, like very, very, very dirty, suggestive lyrics. And he actually walked on stage, grabbed the mic from her, and told her to get off the stage.
Oh, dear.
His own granddaughter. Oh, I couldn't even imagine.
Well, I hope it wasn't broadcast. The FCC tends to find stuff like that.
Oh, no, it wasn't broadcast. It was just in person. So anyway, tell us again about what we're going to hear really quick before I push play.
It's called Nightshade for a string quartet. This is a group called the Corleano String Quartet, and they were buddies of mine back in school, and a couple of them anyway have resettled in Seattle. So, quick shout out to them.
Nice.
Michael Lim and Malia Watrous.
Yeah, and I understand you have a project going on, and we're going to talk about that after the song.
Sure.
That's something I was reading about online. I'm going to ask you some questions about. Wow. So I almost started talking too soon during the last little bit there. That was gorgeous. Wow. And that was your original piece, correct? Or you?
Yeah, you've. Yeah, sorry about that.
My apologies. I didn't push stop.
Yeah, that was from 1996. Went through a revision or two there, right around that time. So, and the Corleone String Quartet. For whatever reason, I tend to hang out with string players. I don't know why.
Yeah. Wow. Well, yeah, it was a powerful piece. It was amazing. I loved it.
Well, thank you. A little funkadelic. Yeah.
Right?
Prostitution of the highest order.
I love
as
that.
One of my professors once put it.
I love that. I hope you thanked him profusely.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
And yeah, that's high praise, I would think. So I was reading about another project that you were working on in 2019. It was called what was it called? A Garden of Roses.
Is that 2019, 2020 in there somewhere?
It says here that the project began in 2019.
Yeah,
that's when you got the funding for it.
Premiered it. Right, we premiered that in February of 2020, just before the pandemic landed on everybody.
Good timing.
So, well,
or bad.
It was enough to launch the thing. Anyway, it was the Cary Choir, directed by Tim Westerhouse, and the Spokane String Quartet. So somehow this strange collaboration came together, and this, I think you've got there the last movement. It's called A Garden of Roses. It's 12. It's a selection or a set of 12 rose pieces, I guess, into a big cycle. This is the last movement, so as you can tell, it's kind of jazz-oriented. I took a couple of jazz lessons from Brent Edstrom.
Right.
Bought him a beer and said, how does this thing work?
Yeah, nice.
It's nice to have low friends in high places.
Right?
Yeah.
So is there still anything happening with this project, or was this
no, this is a, yeah.
Okay, okay. And this piece we're listening to here, this was from?
It's the live performance of it.
Okay,
at the Fox Theater. Fox Theater a couple of years ago anyway.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. And just really quick here, so we're when we're done for the hour, we have another piece to lead us out with. Do you want to tell us a little about what we're going to be hearing in a little bit?
Oh, I thought that was the one. Anyway, before we go back to some music, we should mention that Spokane Public Radio is at the Farmers Market in Chewelah Park.
Yes, thank you.
And we brought along the Jones and Jones duo.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of fun and very funkadelic music there. You never know what you're going to get with those guys.
Right.
And there's a scavenger hunt, and they have some other things planned.
Do you know what's going to be happening in the scavenger hunt, or is that a secret?
I don't really know. And sadly, I'm going to miss a lot of this because I have to go back for another meeting. But the staff will be there, and they've got it all under control.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna be there for a little bit, but unfortunately, I have to move today, which is fun.
Oh, bummer.
Well, not a move, just storage stuff.
Well, I was hoping. I love farmers markets. I was hoping to pick up some heirloom tomatoes.
Oh yeah.
So.
Have you ever been to our farmers market before?
I haven't. No.
Oh, it's really good. You know, it's everything you would expect from a small town homegrown farmers market.
It sounds delicious.
Local products only, local or handmade products only. Yeah, there's a great group of vendors. We have artists and
is it every week?
Vendors. Yeah, it's every Friday. Every Friday from 11 to 3:30 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone's excited about this. Actually, people have been talking about this for a while. We don't. They only do a few times a year. They might have a music guest or something. So every time they do, it's kind of a big deal. We've been advertising this all week, and we're getting some good feedback, and people are excited about it.
Well, thanks again for the invitation. This is really
no problem. No problem. I didn't want to reach out and be like, hey, we want to get in on that, but I totally reached out and said, hey, we want to get in on that.
Well, good. We're thrilled.
Didn't want to step on anybody's toes or try to barge in where I wasn't welcome, but
no.
But you know, like you were saying in our conversation before us, all public radio, we need to stick together, and this isn't an industry where we need to compete with each other and have a bunch of infighting. We need to all support each other.
Well, we're all pretty collegial, I think, and the feeling is even among the joint licensees and the PBS stations, you know, that with public media, somebody's success lifts all boats. So
yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
We're all in touch with one another. So
and we're all here for our
hopeful.
And we're all here for our communities too. So you know, if we can support what's good for other communities, is good for our community, right?
That's the idea.
Exactly. And speaking of other communities, I don't know if you can talk about this or if I should even ask about it, but I understand there's a new radio station coming up on the horizon.
Well, we have a couple of transmitters going in. Our signal actually reaches Colville and Kettle Falls, but very sporadically. So we have a couple of new transmitters going into those areas.
Okay.
And we're aiming for the fall. We're behind schedule. We've had, like everybody during COVID, we've had all kinds of supply chain issues.
Yeah.
And everybody's backlogs, and so are we.
Right.
But we're aiming for the fall, and we're installing 2 stations. Somewhere I've got the call letters in the back of my mind, but you know, yeah, I'm sure we'll make them known later.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Mostly, I think it's just going to fill in the gaps that we don't quite reach. We've had a lot of complaints about that, so we're trying to address those.
And then the type of programming that it's going to be?
Well, depending on which station you choose, it will be news and information 24/7. So NPR programming, for example, BBC. Fair amount of local programming and some national stuff.
Okay.
And the other one is the eclectic station, which is classical music, jazz, news and information, a lot of entertainment programs. As you know, most radio stations only do one thing.
Right.
So when you try to do everything and serve all people, it's a fool's errand, and somebody is going to be unhappy with you part of the time.
That's us.
Well, anyway, it's a very mission-driven thing, so that one too will be available. I'm not sure what will reach to Chewelah, but you know, at least we touch here. So
very cool. Yeah, we we deem ourselves as the education music station. We play here. I don't know if you probably haven't had a chance to listen to us too much, but yeah, we play throughout the week a variety of different stuff. We play everything from blues, bluegrass. We have Dr. Jazz is one of our local syndicated DJs.
Yeah, I've been listening a bit online.
Yeah, yeah. And we have different programs. We have psychedelic. We have a one night of psychedelic programming. We have some supernatural stuff. Some supernatural talk radio and environmental programming, and we kind of run the gamut of and try to provide a wide range. Like you said, it might be a fool's errand, but you can't please everybody all the time. But we try to mix it up,
and yet you get stuff you wouldn't necessarily hear. On radio, and public radio has time to stretch out a little bit, linger in a story to try to tell the story in its fullness.
Right.
And actually, I was just thinking the other day, I met a volunteer producer at KLCC in Eugene, Oregon, and her radio show is strictly dedicated to the Grateful Dead.
Wow. Okay. Very cool.
You don't hear that often. I wonder if she's still doing it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I should ask the GM there. I know him.
And we're down for our as far as our music DJs. We're down to only 2 DJs right now. We lost a lot of our talent during COVID.
Oh, gosh.
We had a couple of them pass away, and a couple with some family issues that had to go and take off. So I'm starting to get ramped up to start getting more DJs and some different types of stuff in here. I talked to someone the other day that wants to do a reggae show.
Nice.
Yeah, which we don't have any reggae, and that's one of my favorite genres of music. And there's another gentleman that I've been in discussions with about doing a different show. We have a gentleman he's on vacation right now, but he found all these old reel-to-reels of this gentleman who sat in his basement for decades, just recording his own music broadcast. Nobody heard it, just by himself, alone in his basement, and recording talk stuff with a bunch of standards and discussing the history of the songs and all this stuff, and just for years, just as a hobby, recording everything. And this guy, his wife sold him all this equipment, and as well as his old reel-to-reel that he used. And so we're looking at getting some of that cleaned up. And
by the way, there's a big national project going with public radio stations across the country that has to do with archives.
Yeah.
And Spokane Public Radio, SPR, is working on this now as well. But if you have old audio tapes, it's in many ways the audio history of our country.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, I'll connect you up with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, this is a friend of ours and a supporter of the radio station. And he's just got bags. They're all in paper bags, just bags and bags and bags of these old 8-track, or reel-to-reel, not 8-tracks. I'm excited to hear him. I haven't listened to it yet, but he's going to get everything fired up when he gets back from vacation, and we're going to start kind of going through some of this stuff and seeing what's on there.
My old station in Indiana, they had a program called Sunday Opera, and they were all recorded on those big reel-to-reel tapes. You remember those things, like 9-10 inches across?
Yeah.
And I came back to the station. I went to go to work for the Indiana University Foundation for a few years, and then came back to the station and discovered that my boss's boss had trashed all of those, just thrown them out. I think I managed to salvage 8. I was furious. Ugh, never been so mad in my life. Well, maybe once or twice.
Wow. Well, I spent I've kind of gotten back into the theater again a little bit here, kind of dipping my toe in, and I did a lot of theater as a youngster. And, even in high school and stuff, I got, teased relentlessly because I grew up in Wasilla, Alaska. And if there was ever an opera going on in Anchorage, I was the first one to buy tickets, and I would ask all my friends, hey, I got tickets to the opera. And all my friends were like, what? Like, I couldn't get anyone to go with me.
I had engineered a couple of those programs, and this guy was quite a genius, just knew everything about opera there was to know, including, try this performance, here's what to listen for. He was quite astounding. And to have lost that, it's just heartbreaking. So anyway, I think this is not a moment too soon.
Right.
Very often those old tapes, you have to throw them in the oven and bake them for a bit. And then you get one play, so you have one chance to digitize them before they really are toast forever.
What does the oven do? What's that process?
I think it helps bind the magnetic power to the plastic somehow.
Okay.
Because they get sticky, it degrades over time. So some wise person discovered that if you bake it, I forget exactly how it's done.
Huh.
So don't try this at home unless you really know what you're doing. So I've done it in the past, but it's been quite a while.
They probably had some bad tapes that they left in their car during the summer in Eastern Washington.
That might have sufficed. I don't know. Maybe.
That's a long way from the old cassette tape and the pencil to try to fix the kink in those.
Yeah, and most radio stations have an old reel-to-reel player, a DAT tape player, a cassette player.
Yeah.
So again, we have just begun the process of trying to figure out how to digitize all this stuff so we don't lose it.
Right. Well, it's funny you say that because when you brought in a CD and I had literally never touched the CD player in our studio before, and I'm like, I don't even know how to use it. But
first time for everything.
I think we figured out that wasn't in my training manual.
Oh. Well, let's go back to a bit of music. And
yeah, sure. Go ahead and introduce this next piece to us, and we'll get it playing.
It's called "A Rose by Any Other Name," and this is with the Canterbury Choir, conducted by Tim Westerhouse, with the Spokane String Quartet.
Okay, here we go.
A rose by any other name would smell as sweet, would smell as sweet. A rose by any other name would feel the beat each time we meet. A rose by any other name gives me tingles and shivers like snow and sleet. Oh yeah, my love is sweeter than wine. My love, no, I'd like to sit any old time. Oh yeah, I'd like to take a nip late morning or at noon. I'd like to take a tipple under the moon. My love is so very fine. I think I'll take a taste right now. My love is sweeter than sweet. And every now and then he tickles my fancy feet. My love sends me into a swoon. My love will sing me over the moon. My love kissed me right in the backseat of a 1969 Volkswagen Beetle. Right in the backseat, and not just a legal. On a side street in the backseat. Please repeat. My love will take me up just like a balloon. A rose by any other name would give me that sweet heat. Would give me that sweet heat. My love is so cool, he likes his street neat, sweet, petite. My love steps on 2 and 4. My love really knows the score. My love whispers of eau de cologne. He doesn't speak French, but he makes me Rose is a rose, I suppose. Rose is a rose, is a rose. a rose. Would smell as sweet as wine. Really find it so peachy, but feel the heat is great.
Was great. So the name of that track was A Rose?
Rose by Any Other Name.
Okay, great. And that was part of the what was the name of the project?
A Garden of Roses.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, Spokane String Quartet and Contourei Choir.
Very cool. That's great stuff. So anyway, so yes, the Spokane Public Radio, they're going to be at the Friday Market today.
We are at the Friday Market today.
Are you going to be there all day, or just a certain time of the day?
11 to 3.
11 to 3. Okay, perfect. So the whole Friday Market.
And Jones and Jones will also be there. I think a little bit within that time, but yeah, they're there most of the day.
Okay. So, and are you guys going to be set up in a booth there, or just kind of set up out in the open, or?
I'm not entirely sure. I think we have a booth, but.
Okay. Well, I will be sure to come on by and say hi to everybody.
Great, please do.
And meet everybody. That'd be fantastic. It was great having you on the show. I really, really appreciate you coming.
Well, my pleasure.
Be prepared for me to keep bugging you throughout the future. And
anytime.
Cary, I need some advice. I know Scott would like a reprieve because I'm bugging him all the time.
Anytime.
Especially FCC stuff. It's so hard to figure out sometimes. They're so vague on everything, on all their rules. You know.
Oh, you read these guidelines, and
yeah.
It's you can tell it's put together by a bunch of lawyers.
Right. You can read it 20 times, and each time you read it, you think you understand it. But
there is some of that, and you'd be surprised at the gray areas, and especially around underwriting messages and things we can and cannot do.
For-profits versus non-profits. There's just
all of that.
Subtle differences and.
Yeah, but ultimately, I also think it speaks to our brand that we sound. Not so cluttered and not so commercial.
Oh, exactly. I understand it. I understand most of it, and I get some people, especially with the underwriting, like, oh, why can't we just tell people to come on by and do this? I'm like, well, because that's sort of.
Yeah, the FCC says you can't. Well, you cannot put things in the command form.
Right.
I mean, if the one exception is to say join us at 8 o'clock or something like that. Right. But, we can't say things like, buy now. We can't give comparisons like, we're the biggest, we're the best, we're the cheapest. We can't give any price information.
Right.
So that includes free.
Yeah.
We cannot do anything that's clearly promotional, like Wednesday's Ladies' Night, this kind of thing.
Well, and then there's so many gray areas, like, for instance, the medical field, like qualified doctors. Striving to provide the best health care they can.
Yeah, we can't give award information.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, qualified. That's an opinion and also something that can be proven. So that's a huge gray area there, because that's
exactly.
There are specific qualifications that you can definitively say, yes, this doctor is qualified.
Yeah, and most of us have an FCC attorney we check in with just to keep our noses clean.
Right.
So, in fact, I heard of a stationed back east. So the ones that tend to get in trouble are student-run stations without enough oversight. And one particular station was certified for, my FCC attorney shares the funny stories with me. He says, well, they were, the fine is $1,000 for an underwriting violation.
Yeah, wow.
And you think, well, that's not too bad. How many did they have? 279.
Wow.
So all of a sudden everybody was mum on that, so I'm sure a deal was cut, but I'm just dying to know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I know we're in the middle right now of, we have a team redoing all of our underwriting, documentation, to, making a nice little booklet to hand out. And yeah, there's so many gray areas and questions that we're trying to go through right now. It's crazy, but people probably don't want to hear us geek out about
boring
FCC regulations on the air. Anyway, so yeah, this has been Cary Boyce, Dr. Cary Boyce of Spokane Public Radio. Thank you again so much for coming by. This has been fantastic. And once again, we're going to go ahead and close this out with another piece of music here as we end the show and get on with our day. And I'll let Cary get back to work. And what is this we're going to be hearing as we leave?
It's the very beginning of A Garden of Roses.
Okay, great. And again, thank you so much for listening to KCHW 102.7. This has been The Morning Show with Cary Boyce today. Have a good one.
Thank you again.
Yeah. That does it for today. Thank you again for listening to the morning show on KCHW 102.7. We'll see you at the Friday market today. Have a good one and have a great weekend.